So now that we've laid the ground rules for how to use Facebook to find a job and keep a job, let's answer the question, what's wrong with my profile? It's actually kind of a trick question because there's really no right or wrong way to do a Facebook profile. It's really all about you. But there is a right and wrong way to do a Facebook profile if you're interested in using it to reach out to potential employers. The main thing you have to think about if you're using your Facebook profile to network is there are a lot of things that can sort of unofficially disqualify you from getting a job just because the person looking at your profile doesn't like what they see. It's unfair, it's wrong, it's prejudice, but it's also just the way it is. So we always have to be very conservative, both in how much information we reveal about ourselves and in what kind of information we reveal about ourselves. Always asking the question, how does this make me look to a potential employer, and what kind of assumptions might they draw about me from reading this information? So let's start with the profile picture. This picture has a lot of things wrong with it if you're looking at using your Facebook profile to reach out to employers. Number one, obviously, is that we can't tell if she's wearing clothes, right? That's the big no-no. Even though it's not technically inappropriate and the photo cuts off at any part that might be inappropriate, it still looks like she's skimpy or she's not wearing clothes, or if she is, just not wearing very much clothing. The other thing we want to look at, which is a little bit more subtle, is her facial expression. This facial expression, I know us women, we all love to be looked at as sexy and flirty and attractive, but when you're dealing with a profile picture, you don't really want to have that sort of come hither look with your profile picture. It's just, it can turn off a potential employer and, again, make you seem a certain way that you may or may not be. So what we want to do is have a profile picture that is fun, that does show our personality, but that's also a little bit more conservative. So let's take a look at what that might look like. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's go to the profile and let's go to photos. There we go. So let's take a look here. I like this profile a lot better because, first of all, she's still trendy. She's wearing cute clothes. Her hair is nice, but it shows her doing what looks like she's making jewelry, which is obviously her hobby. Shows her in her room. She's got her laptop there. It's still a really nice, professionally taken photo. But it makes her look, attractive, but also industrious and ambitious and fun and creative, and that's the image that we want to portray. So let's go ahead and make this the profile picture. And already I think we've done our profile a world of good. So the next thing we want to take a look at are the interested in and looking for sections. This is a really good example of something that really shouldn't make a difference, and if you're being yourself, you ought to be able to tell the truth, but again, we need to think about how a potential employer might look at it, all right? If you have dating and a relationship and you're interested in men and you are in an open relationship and you're just divulging all of this information about your love life, it can come across as a little bit TMI, all right? So I would advise, at least during your job search, that you keep this as conservative as possible. Just say that you're looking for friendship and networking and leave your love life out of it, at least until you find a job. And then the same philosophy goes with whether or not you decide to put your religious and political views. And this is a really personal decision. It may be that your political and religious views are so important to you that if an employer doesn't want to hire you based on those views, it's probably not a good place to work. And that's a valid philosophy, so you may want to be honest about what those are and risk, a potential employer not agreeing with you and not hiring you. On the other hand, if you're trying to play it safe, it might be best to just leave those off until you find a job. Now let's look at the bio. I love to go out and have a good time. My favorite bar is Harold's. Have you ever been there? If it's a Friday night, that's probably where I am, LOL. So a couple things here. Number one, we don't necessarily want to portray ourselves as the kind of person that's always at a bar. And second of all, we want to be careful about using too much net speak. By that I mean the LOL, the RFOL, IDK, using to instead of the word to, good instead of GOOD. We just want to be a little bit more polished because, first of all, we want to convince our potential employer that we can write and speak well. That's a skill set that's just becoming so important in the workplace today. And if you have all of this, if all of your text sort of looks like you're literally texting someone, You're not really showing that side of yourself off. And then lastly, in the second section of her bio, she's committed a big no-no here. I used to work there but quit last month. Loved my friends there but hated my boss. Big no-no to trash your former employer. Even if you did hate them, even if they were unethical, even if they were a big jerk, you want to kind of keep that close to the chest. And that applies not even in Facebook, but also in an interview. I mean, you're going to get asked a lot, why did you quit that job? Or why aren't you working there anymore? Because they want to know kind of how you operate, but always be pretty conservative when talking about previous employers. And then last but not least, let's look at this email address. I mean, ultimately, the goal of using Facebook to network is you want employers to contact you. You don't want them to contact you at an email address like partyallthetime77@yahoo.com. It just doesn't portray the image of a professional. And again, it might cause them to make some false assumptions about who you are and what you stand for. So a safe bet is to get a Gmail account and just use your first name, your last name, maybe your middle initial. A little boring, but again, it's not going to get you discounted because of something stupid. So what I want you to do, little homework assignment, is go through your profile and check those 5 or 6 key areas and just take an inventory, find out how you're doing. Maybe even have a friend or a teacher take a look at your profile and let them know what they think from looking at it. Always good to step out of your shoes and kind of let someone else objectively assess how you're doing. Next video, we're going to really dig into those privacy settings so that you can learn how to manipulate those to your advantage.